right, it's 5:06. We have a quorum, and I'd like to call the June 20th regular meeting of the Utility Service Board to order. Our first order of business is the approval of the previous meeting's minutes from June 5th, 2023. Are there any questions or corrections? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of claims, starting out with the standard invoices in the amount of $451,874.24. Are there any questions?
I have
Yes.
one question. On page 3 of 10, at the bottom, under First Financial / credit cards, there was a charge for the customer service certificate program, CS 23-010, and all of the $1,600 got billed to water, and I'm just wondering if that was a correct assignment of those costs, or if they indeed should have been spread out between water and wastewater as we normally see, and the other charges were, so I didn't know.
They should have been spread out. As you can see in the claims above it, for a similar spend, they were broken out. So somebody just missed something, and it's a 3-minute fix to fix it.
Okay. We can go ahead and approve the claims, knowing that that'll be
Yep.
changed. Okay,
Yep.
great. That's my only question.
Any other questions? Okay, I have a couple. First of all, just a comment. I noticed that we had paint brushes for the summer hydrant crew, and it's timely. I just did a neighborhood walk around for my homeowners association, and we talked about our fire hydrant needed painted. And so our homeowner association property manager, she'd mentioned that there are certain colors for the tops, so that the firefighters know how big the hydrant. Anyway, so is that something that the CBU comes around and does for all hydrants, or are some property owners responsible for?
James Hall, Assistant Director. If the city owns them, if CBU owns them, we have to paint them.
Okay.
If they are privately owned, which there's not a lot in the HOAs, but they would be responsible for painting those.
Okay.
And they wouldn't be painted the color of ours, or you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
okay.
IUs are all red.
Oh, sure.
So to differentiate between the two. And we've actually had homeowners associations ask if they can paint them for us, and you can't. Because we use a paint that is hazardous, and so we don't want to
right.
expose you to that, or you have to deal with getting rid of that paint if you didn't use it all.
Okay.
So, yes, but there is a long list. And,
I'm sure.
You know, if you send in emails,
Yeah.
you might be moved up to the top of the list. But we are getting around to those. I can't
Yeah.
remember. The list was quite extensive. Again, that was one of those projects we started probably 4 years ago, of really tackling, trying to get to them. So.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
What's the frequency that a hydrant needs to get painted?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know the last time most of them were painted. You know, it probably depends on exposure.
James, is there a reason for using hazardous paint?
There's some reflective property in it, and yeah, so that's the reason that we use it. It's a heavy metal, I think, that is in there. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since I filled out the disposal tickets for those, but yeah, I remember when I was doing that. There's a heavy metal in the paint that we use for that.
And is there an identifying marker on the hydrant that would say, yes, this is owned by CBU, or?
In our GIS,
Okay,
it would
so it'd be
say,
in the GIS.
yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you. I did have another question on page 9 in the Rogers groups. So at the top, if you count down to numbers 4 and 5, there are 2 with the exact same invoice numbers and descriptions, but the invoice amounts are different. So it'd be page 9. Okay.
What that may be is, so you see one of them is coming, sorry, Matt. One of them is coming out of water O&M, wastewater O&M, and one is coming out of water construction. So we may have went and picked up or had rock delivered, one to our stock, and then one actually to a project, to a capital infrastructure project.
Okay.
And so they were on the same invoice. different charges, and one was going to a capital projects, which comes out of bond, and one was coming out of our O&M thing. That's probably what you're seeing there.
All right, thank you. So then, would we not put that on just the same line? And
Well,
the
they have to
total would
come
be
out
like
of different funds. That's why the O&M and then the construction, which is CIP stuff.
Okay,
Oh,
In
I see
theory,
what you're saying.
We could have combined it.
Yeah,
In
it had
one-
three different
yes.
lines,
All
yeah.
four rows
Yeah.
in there, but-
okay. All right,
They
thank
may
you.
pay them separately, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, any other questions about the standard invoices? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, the utility bills in the amount of $214,416.93. Are there any questions? All right, I have a question for Smithfield Telephone. So it's on page 2 of the utility bills, and it's for the phone, the third line down, phone number 3318, for the amount of $716. So it kind of stood out to me, and to be honest, kind of was maybe a little more critical of our invoices this time, in reflection of the refund, the large refund that a customer received last month for their utility bill being wrong. I wanted to make sure that ours look right. So this one, especially for Blucher Pool when it's like the smallest place, for that amount seemed like a lot to me. So I kind of went back, and so like in May and April it was that same amount. In March it was $1,710, and then in February and January, and then it was like $140 in February, $191 in January. I couldn't find December or November, just from, I might have deleted that email that it came with. And then essentially from from April of 22 until October of 22, it was about $188 to $190. So it's had a significant jump. So my thinking initially would be that I know we signed an agreement with AEG that they're leasing that out there at Blucher Pool, and we allotted their expenses for, I believe, $500 for internet. But I think that, but their contract was effective September 1st, and we didn't have this great big jump until March. So I'd like to know more information about that.
I don't know that off the top of my head,
Okay.
but I'm happy to get back with you on that.
Okay, thank you. Because that's a significant jump. And I was looking back like at the, well, did our EMC bill go up? And it did not seem to at that same rate. And I wasn't able to find all the months. So my follow-up question to that would be, is there a way that when you input these amounts, can we just quickly pull up, say, Smithfield Telephone, and then see every month this same bill? Or does, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so then, do we review that, say, annually, or like kind of each of our utility bills? Okay, for the whole year, these all looked pretty about the same, or wow, it really jumped, and,
It's kind of what you did. Just,
Okay.
Just having some history behind it and saying, wow, that doesn't look right.
okay. So, because I wouldn't want us to be in a situation like the other organization was, where they were overbilled $50,000. And that's on them to like keep that up, but, thank you for getting back with us about that.
No problem at all.
Okay, so that was that question. Any other questions?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, if we can understand the, what in the bill is variable, like if it's the amount of data that's being, pushed out or in from that location, if that's what's causing the big jump, or if it's something else.
We'll find out.
Thank you.
So then I guess that follow-up to that would be, so going back to the AEG, if it's them and we're only collecting $700 a month for rent, are we losing money? Because right now we're paying it more than $500 a month extra in just for the phone, which I guess is part of the internet, but, okay, so,
It's hard to know. what
yeah,
that is
but
for.
I'll, thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
do some digging.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next, in the amount of $3,380.90, I'm sorry, I missed the wire transfers, in the amount of $425,018.59. Are there any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, customer refunds in the amount of $3,380.96. Are there any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Finally, bond payments in the amount of $4,021,875.52. Are there any questions?
Yeah, and maybe this will come, we can talk about it when we talk about the,
Interdepartmental
I was going to say
agreement.
interlibrary loan, but it's
Yeah.
not that. The interdepartmental agreement, yeah. The solar panel project, I'm just really interested in the origin of the amounts and seeing some backing on these more than just the final number. And I'll make that request formally when we get to the interdepartmental agreement section. But since they came up here, I thought I'd at least mention it.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have our approval of our consent agenda. James.
James Hall, Assistant Director of T&D. I'm pleased to present tonight's consent agenda totaling $18,240. The first item is Atlas Technical Consulting for $5,220. It's statistical analysis of Dillman's landfill groundwater. The second item is Omni Management LLC for $13,020, and that's maintenance and repairs to our autoclave at the Dillman lab. Is there any member who wishes to consider one or more of these items individually? Hearing none, if there's no opposition, these items will be approved as recommended by staff. Hearing no opposition, the consent agenda is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is the request for approval of the 2020 interdepartmental agreement between the City of Bloomington Civil City and the City of Bloomington Utilities Department. Do we have Jeff McMillan? Great. Welcome, Jeff.
Jeff, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah.
Jeff,
Thank
can you hear us?
Chris? Okay, well, yeah, trying to just, there's no call-in option, so, I guess we'll see what they wanna do. No, there's not.
Can we put him on speakerphone?
Can Chris hear us, Tom?
He could when Jeff was talking earlier.
Yeah, it sounds like other people are working. It sounds like other people are working. Meaning that they can hear us, we can hear them. But other people, we can hear other people though.
We've used that phone before.
Can you hear me in there?
There we go. Oh, that's James.
Yeah, he dialed the meeting to see if it was working, so.
If you have them, just press speaker.
We have questions. Should we ask the questions now, anyway, and
Well,
put
he
them on the
might-
record?
Yeah, I mean, if you, I don't know, can he hear us?
He can hear us.
Yeah, we could, if you have specific questions that we want to direct to him, we could do that.
Yeah, we could just take notes and then we would do it through email, is that okay?
And then table the
We
vote.
can table the vote for this
Mhm.
evening,
And then we
given the
get the,
circumstances, and then.
we get the questions answered, then we bring it up again?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're just gonna take notes and we'll fire off their questions to you in an email, okay? All right. Okay, well, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. All right, thanks, yep, bye. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Okay, so then due to the technical difficulties, we will ask our questions now. That'll be relayed, and then we will table, or we'll vote, take a vote to table it until the next
So
meeting.
I'll answer what I can, and I just, he did all the math behind it, so I wanted him to be here to be able to answer all the questions. So, because it's a pretty large sum of money, so.
Right. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so what it is, did you include the little spreadsheet in their packet?
Yep.
Okay, so what it is, Civil City has all of the support functions like HR, legal, risk, and all those things. And what the controller's office does is assign a percentage that they feel each of the departments uses of those functions. And then once a year, they charge us for the use of those services. And then we actually charge city for a couple things, is that we do all of the billing for sanitation every month. So we get reimbursed for our costs of that. And then we also get reimbursed for a portion of our control staff that we have here 24/7. So those offset, and then at the end of the year, we pay Civil City a couple $1 million for the services that they've given us for the year. That's what it is at a high level, I guess.
Okay. Are there any questions? Jim?
You do this every year, correct?
Correct.
The dates on this are like 2019 and 2020,
It's 2020 and 2021, yes.
so we're
The downtown's that far behind on this.
just slow.
That's a turnover. Yeah.
You mentioned this a couple meetings ago, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to catch up with everything.
Other questions?
Yeah, go.
So I'm just going to first, this is a question about the solar payments, and I want to make a request for more information. But before I make that request, I'm going to just read the example. I think it was a good example given an explanation. We had the presentation about solar 2 weeks ago. And Kelson advised, this is out of our minutes, Kelson advised that the contracts that paid for the panels were funded through a contract at City Hall and an interdepartmental agreement set CBU's payment based on its generating capacity over the whole city. For example, if the city creates 4 megawatts and CBU is creating 2.1 megawatts, then CBU pays 2.1 divided by 4 of the whole contract. So it's a very understandable formula. Face value, to me, it seems fair. If you, however, think about the number of systems that the city has and the number of systems utility has, then it calls into a question, knowing that if I'm a homeowner and I generate, you know, one megawatt, and there's another homeowner that generates 0.5 megawatts, and my system costs $12,000, his system isn't going to cost $6,000. It's going to be more like $9,000 because there's costs for the inverter and the infrastructure and the hookup fee and, you know, service charge and all that stuff. So, you know, I would say at face value, it calls into question the type of deal that utilities is getting. But that's not, you know, I think we need to dig into that at some point. It's going to take a little bit of time. So looking at the two contracts, the amount is exactly the same. Okay, so one of the two is estimated, or both are being estimated, because over the course of 2 years, and it's down to the penny, you're not going to have two values that are exactly the same. I mean, the solar conditions differ between years. So I just want to know how these numbers were arrived at, if one of them was from actual data, and I would like to make a request, and the board can decide whether they support this or not, but I would like to request just some basic information on the systems that are out there. And that is, for every system, I want to know how many panels there are, how much is being generated if we know, but if not, at least the size, and if we can get the information, the original cost. Also, I'd like to get a copy of the agreement that we have, the contract with the city. I want to know how long we're paying, how long this lease is in effect, and if the goal is to pay for the entire system, or we're actually getting charged something beyond that. And I just want to understand more about the relationship we have, and I want to make sure we're getting a fair shake. And I you know, I would be comfortable if I knew where these values came from, and if one's from actual data and the other one's estimated because we don't have data, and was expressed at the last meeting, the communication devices have been broken, and, you know, maybe for one of the 2 years we didn't have information. But at least I want to know that amount for one of the 2 years was generated with real data. And if not, well, either way, I just want to see that backing information so I can review it like a responsible board member would. Thanks. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
So an extension off of that, which maybe I'm asking the same thing and just don't have quite as good of understanding. But so in Section 8, payments for solar panels lease cost, the parties hereby agree that CBU shall pay a total of $237,850 for costs incurred by Civil City's solar panel lease for CBU. But then here in our bonds, we paid like 235 or 30 or something thousand just tonight. So what is, I mean, is that the same thing?
What is the relationship?
What are those connections? My next question is back in Section 2. It says Exhibit A. This doesn't say Exhibit A on it, and it says payment schedule, and this just didn't seem like a payment schedule to me. So is there something else that we did not have?
I'm not sure what that is. I can't see it, to be honest
It
with you.
says, well, this one says 2021, but interdepartmental summary.
So that is just a summary of the payments that Jeff is going to ask for. That's breaking it down by each department.
So like-
that's different than the solar
That means
question.
CBU owes the clerk $281,000
Yes, yes.
and the fire department $11 million. Well,
The total charge is what, correct?
Total charge, okay, I'm seeing it now.
Right.
So,
So
okay,
the percentages are what we're being charged, what percentage of that department's budget we are being charged.
okay. All right. So is this Exhibit A? That's referred to in the agreement?
Yeah, that's up.
So that would be a clarifying question for next time.
No, Jeff's got Exhibit A. I just summarized his.
Okay.
exhibit for it.
We'd like to see that, please.
Okay.
And then in section 3, it says, in like maybe the third line, the amount owed is based on the net asset value as determined by a recently completed inventory of CBU assets located within the city. Can we see that inventory? Do we have access to that?
We do, yeah,
Okay. Is that, and that's different from like our appraisal?
correct.
Okay.
So the appraisal was around what we think.
Which
the
we've
fair-
not got the results of that.
Right.
So I knew that was different than what this is, but,
But this is a list of basically every physical asset that we as the utility own in its current value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Book value.
So you can share that with us? Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Yes.
Yeah, we looked at that, maybe it's been 10 years ago. We really
Okay.
dug in on that, and there was a spreadsheet with maybe 137 items or something like
I-
that, and we looked
Yeah.
at it line by line, just to, because we have obviously facilities outside of the city boundaries, and we just wanted to check to make sure that indeed everything that was said to be within the city was indeed within the city
Yeah,
limits.
so we can get that.
Is it in a similar format?
I don't know, but I would assume so. We can make it into a similar format.
Okay.
Thank you. My other question, we did the solar panel. Section 5, payments for fleet maintenance costs. A total of $513,199 for costs incurred for our vehicles. On page 2 of our invoices tonight, we approved a payment for $50,062.83 for parts and repairs. So it wasn't just parts, so if repairs, that to me means maintenance.
So the 57,000 is an agreed upon charge based on a 3-year average of our usage, if you will. And so we pay fleet that fixed charge every single month, and then we reevaluate that rate every year.
So the 50,000 that we're paying right now per month is already covered in part of this.
Yeah, it's covered.
So what, I guess, what is the bottom line then that we owe the city, or the city would like to collect from the CBU?
It would be everything on that list other than the fleet, 'cause we forgot.
It's not on the,
It's not on
it's not on this list. so-
513,000,
Okay.
No,
So
the
it's
one
not on here,
in
so
the
it's-
50,000.
claims,
And
50,
it-
and that's every month,
Month,
he
I
said.
guess,
So
yeah.
it's $600,000 for
Oh,
the year,
okay.
so so we underpaid 513 is what
So,
you're saying?
yeah, so the interdepartmental is charges that are incurred downtown at City Hall. Fleet is separate.
okay.
So we pay fleet that $500,000 a year plus fuel costs, and that's separate than this interdepartment with the controller's office.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so the $500,000 for fleet is separate than the interdepartmental that the controller's office is asking for.
I don't think he's understanding what you're saying.
Well, I'm not sure what I'm saying.
Okay. How much in what year?
Well, this is the 2020 agreement,
I think
and
Jeff is
today
right.
we just paid 50,000.
So if are we paying that monthly? 263. And
Yes.
so that's part of that $500,000.
That is the $500,000.
That is,
Yes.
yes. Okay.
It's spread over 12 months.
Yes.
Yes,
So if we've already paid that,
correct.
then that should not be part of what's owed in this bottom line, send the money to Civil
So
City.
now, let me, sorry,
Okay,
because
sorry.
this is,
Yeah,
so now, like, we're in 2023 now. These are from 2021 and stuff like that. So we're still paying on something, but what you're looking at is from the past. Does that make sense? I mean, I know you know that, but I'm just saying.
but they want money for this though, right?
No, that's already.
Is there a transfer of funds that is gonna
It
account
happens
from
every,
approval?
for
from-
fleet, it happens every month. For the interdepartmental for downtown, it happens once a year.
but it's but it's part of the contract. So I guess what I'm asking is, for this $500,000 that's in the 2020 interdepartmental agreement,
That's already been paid.
it's already been paid. So then whatever the city says that CBU should send over is going to be minus that amount.
It's not going to be included in it. I don't know
Okay.
that it's minus, but it's already been
It's
paid.
been accounted for.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to,
Yes,
yeah.
it's already been paid.
Been accounted for.
It gets paid every single month. Yep.
Okay. So then, I guess, because I don't see fleet on here, but you said that's a separate.
It's separate.
Thing. So then should maybe when we're, are there other questions about that part? I don't want to like jump the subject.
Well, just so now it's 50,000 times 12 is about 600,000. So there's been an increase in cost from 2 years ago, from 513 to about
Right.
600.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So when are we going to do the 2023 agreement?
We got to get through 2022 first.
Well, but I mean, if that's what to me, 2023 is more important, and then go back and take care of this retroactively like we're doing. But let's get current, would be my
So
hope.
what I would say to that is that we are currently paying the fleet portion every month, the same as we have in the past. And we won't get the 2023 agreement with the controller's office until next year. It's always a year in arrears.
Because to me, just personally, to me, that seems like it should be a year, like this is signed by December 31st for 2023, or like January, or whatever, like it's the upcoming year that we've come to this agreement, not 3 years later, oh, we're signing off on that.
The way they've been, I'm not saying wrong, but they've been doing it a year in arrears.
Okay,
Historically, that's true, yes.
So we won't get 2023's numbers until, I still haven't seen 2022's. So I'm not sure when they'll get them out for this year.
okay. Were there any other questions?
I want to just say that in terms of the rate schedule for the departments, I'm appointed by the council, so I called up my council member and said, hey, what percentage do you think you use of your time on utilities matters, be it a rate case or the approval for this, or, the budget? And it was hard to nail them down, but finally he said 5%. So it's very close to the 7%. It just is a sanity check. And maybe, Jim, you have experience too from that.
Sounds probably
A little high? Okay. So we can always say, we think it's too high. These are agreed upon percentages. And if we think something's too high, we have every right to say, we think it's too high. And they can say, oh, we have this formula, and we actually, polled people about their hours, or we looked at the agenda and analyzed how much time during meetings. I don't know.
That's why I was hoping
But
Jeff could join to
we,
talk.
we can go back to them and
That's why it's
say-
hard to go back.
I
yes.
just think from a point of perspective for staff, I'm working with council, you're talking about one member of council and not the administrative staff of council, legal counsel of them. I mean, there's many people involved in that, so I don't know if that's a accurate representation of 5% of their time.
Oh, no, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
There's the,
I mean,
Council
my department
staff.
has 3% again.
uh-huh.
Where does that number come up?
Do you feel comfortable with that number?
It probably depends on I'm comfortable with it because it's not a significant amount of our time, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But,
we want to get these as right as
If you were to ask
possible.
my staff right now, a petition we're working on, there's a significant amount of coordination going on, so that number could be much higher. So-
Okay. Well, we have every right to come back and say we think it's too high or we think it's too low. So these are negotiated percentages. And we've asked them to sharpen their pencil before, and they've done that. So every year we get these. And
Okay.
and
I'm guessing-
actually, the first year we get them every year now. We didn't always get them. And we asked for them, and we went back and got some of them changed the first couple of years. I think maybe they've settled into on something everyone's comfortable with, but if we think something's too high or low, we should speak up.
Yeah.
about it, so he
Okay.
could put some color behind how they came
Yeah.
up with those.
So
those
then,
numbers.
going off of this thing here, this interdepartmental summary, so where it says human resources, allocation to CBU is 30%. So does that mean that 30% of the city employees are CBU employees?
No, that says we are using 30% of human resources time in resources. So 30% of their budget is because of us, is what that's saying.
Right. To me, that's like one category that would be like 30% of the employees are CBU employees, so that would be 30% of their budget. So I'd be interested to know.
Again, I'm not sure how they came up with those numbers, that's why I wanted Jeff to talk to them.
That's a good question. 30% seems high to me.
Me-
But,
yeah, I
but
don't
maybe
know.
the number of employees
we're more
is
than that,
close
yeah.
to 30%.
Yeah.
I'm just doubting it, but I don't know for sure.
Could
And
we
all of the
request?
other- I mean, with street and with public works and with, you know, there are a lot of employees, so. And I doubt that they spend any amount of inordinate time on CBU's employees, unless we take up a lot of their time with complaints, human resource complaints.
So it would be useful to have just a paragraph of how each of these percentages was arrived at. If that's too much of a burden, at least for HR, you know, how many total, we know how many CBU employees are. How many are there in the city, and what is our percentage of the total? Is that 30? Is it more or less? But just having an understanding of each of the rates would be useful moving forward.
I mean, do they keep track of, if someone's working on something in HR, do they put next to it, well, this was for someone in Public Works, and this was for someone in sanitation, and this was for someone at CBU? So basically, this is a seat of the pants guess.
That would be my guess too, as well, but I don't know how they
Because if we
decided.
didn't have 30% of the employees, but we're taking up 30% of the time for HR, just specifically that department, then I'd be concerned, do we have an HR problem within the CBU that we need to address or something? You know, so if we are taking up a significant more amount of time for that department than other departments, ahead of our workforce percentage.
And my understanding was that they're doing better than the seat of the pants, at least that's what we were told, but given that it's $2.3 million, we should be sure.
Well, it'd be 802,000.
I meant for the total.
The total.
Oh, right, yeah, right. So, are there any additional questions? Is this something that you would like to vote on tonight, or you want to table and get these answers back and bring to the July 3rd meeting?
I move that we table this until the July 3rd meeting, when we have a couple more answers.
Second.
So, all in favor of tabling, we'll do two separate motions then, tabling the request for approval of the 2020 interdepartmental agreement between the City of Bloomington Civil City and the City of Bloomington Utilities Department. Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries, so we'll table the approval of 2020. And then is there a motion to table the request for approval of the 2021 interdepartmental agreement?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll table that till July 3rd as well. And thank you for your time. And to Chris and Jeff, who we can't hear, but appreciate you listening to us this evening and getting back with us to those answers. And we'll be sure that our absent board members also send in questions if they have any. Thank you. All right. Is there any old business? From the board, sorry. Old business from staff? Okay, new business from the board? New business from staff?
No.
Okay. Subcommittee reports? There were no subcommittees this week. Staff reports?
I don't think we have any at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any petitions and communication? I have one thing. I heard on the radio this afternoon that there's a tour of the Monroe Water Treatment Plant tomorrow at 2:30 to 4:30, but I don't have any other details. So I was wondering if you could please share.
Liz Carter would be the best person. I can
Liz?
have her send you a link. I don't know, there's 23 people going, and
Terrific.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are
they meeting here or just meeting out there at 2:30?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that a bus is picking
Cool.
up, so I would assume they're meeting here and then being bussed out.
Okay.
Bloomington Transit's providing a bus, so.
Oh, wonderful.
And I just, yes, and then 10 of this trip is actually going to be Bloomington Legal, the city legal department. I'm confused why 10 of them were going all at once, but I wanted to get out of the office for a bit.
So it was advertised on the radio, and it didn't provide any more information than what I shared. But I did share with Vic and Holly, just in the future, if there are community outreach events like that going on, if you could let us know about it and maybe post it on the social media, or maybe there's like a front page on our webpage that can do it, or just like, this date, this is coming up, if you're interested, email this person. Or in those city emails that we receive, include it in there, because obviously we're taking time, our staff members are taking time to put those events on for our community, which are really important. And so even if folks aren't able to attend, that they know that the CBU is working to do that. I think it's a great for our community to be aware of. So thank you. All right, anything else for the good of the order? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, thank you.